Your furnace quote is hiding half the system you actually need. A furnace only makes heat. You still have to buy the air conditioner separately, and almost nobody puts both numbers on the same page. That's number 7 on the list of things nobody shows you before you sign for new heat. Because the real question isn't heat pump versus furnace versus baseboard. It's which one costs the least over 10 years in your climate at your 2 utility rates. And the honest answer is unsettling. The same 3 machines can trade places, from cheapest to most expensive, just by crossing a state line. 7 traps hide that number, and here's every one. You'll see the traps that quietly triple your bill. You'll see the one credit a contractor should never quote you in 2026. And you'll get the single question that ends the argument at your kitchen table. So, back to that furnace, number 7. On paper, it's the cheap option, maybe $3,800 to $8,000 installed. But a furnace does one job. It burns fuel and blows hot air. It can't cool your house in July. So if you live anywhere with a real summer, you're buying a central air conditioner too. Now you're paying for 2 machines to do what one heat pump does alone. The fair fight was never furnace versus heat pump. It's furnace plus air conditioner versus heat pump. And the second you line those up, the gap gets small. Number 6 is the reason your last system short-cycled and your bills crept up. And it happens before the equipment even shows up. It's sizing. A proper load calculation, the manual J, measures your actual heat loss, your insulation, your windows, your air leaks, your climate. It takes anywhere from 15 minutes to a couple hours. But a lot of installers skip it in size by a rule of thumb, 1 ton per 4 to 600 square feet. That rule oversizes the average home by 20 to 40%. And yeah, I get it. Bigger sounds safer. But an oversized system doesn't run better. It runs worse. It blasts on, overshoots, shuts off, over and over, wearing the compressor out early and pushing your bills 10 to 20% higher. Bigger was never safer. It was just lazier. Number 5 is a temperature almost nobody calculates, and it quietly decides everything. It's called the balance point. It's the outdoor temperature where your heat pump's output exactly matches your home's heat loss. Above it, the heat pump carries the whole house on its own, but below it, it can't keep up, and something else has to make up the difference. A basic single-stage unit balances around 30 to 40 degrees. A good variable speed one, closer to 20. Remember that idea, the balance point, because it comes back, and it's where the cheap install turns into the expensive winter. Number 4 is the cliff, and it's pure physics, not a defect. Cold air holds less heat for the pump to grab. So a standard heat pump loses power at the exact moment your house needs the most. Rated at 47 degrees, a typical single-stage unit is already down to roughly 60% of its output by 17 degrees. That's straight off the manufacturer's own rating data, not my guess. So picture it. It's 17 out, your house wants full heat, and the machine can only deliver a little over half. That's the cliff, and the colder it gets, the harder it falls. Now connect those last 2. The balance point from number 5, and this cliff. Below your balance point, on the coldest nights, your heat pump physically can't finish the job. So what finishes it? Hold that thought, because it's number 1. Number 3, the wrong machine for the climate. There's a whole class of cold climate heat pumps built to hold their output down near zero and below. They cost maybe $1,000 to $3,000 more, but in a cold region, that money is the difference between comfort and a punishing bill. The tell? Manufacturers often won't even publish capacity numbers for a standard unit below 17 degrees, because it isn't meant to work there. So if your winters hit single digits and the quote is a bargain single-stage box, that isn't a deal. It's a setup. Number 2 is a red flag you can catch in a single sentence. The federal heat pump tax credit, the one worth up to $2,000. Expired on December 31st, 2025. It's gone. And the rule is based on when the system was switched on, not when you bought it. So a unit installed in January doesn't count. Now, a contractor in 2026 still promising you that $2,000 back, he's either not paying attention or he's padding the pitch. Either way, I'd get a second quote. And number 1, the most expensive heat in your house, and you might be paying for it right now without knowing it. Electric resistance heat, baseboard heaters, and the backup strips hidden inside most heat pumps. Resistance heat is simple. 1 unit of electricity in, 1 unit of heat out, no magic. But a working heat pump moves 3 to 4 units of heat for every 1 unit it uses. So the second your heat pump gives up below its balance point, those backup strips kick on, and your heat quietly gets 3 to 4 times more expensive. That's the zombie heat pump. The little aux light glows, the compressor barely turns, and your meter spins like it's July. And pure baseboard? Cheapest thing on earth to install. But it runs at that same brutal 1-to-1, roughly 4 times the cost of the same heat from a gas furnace, all winter, every winter. And yes, I know I just spent most of this video making 3 machines sound like a minefield. But the point was never to scare you off heat pumps. I personally think a good one is the best deal in home comfort, for the right house. The trap was never the technology. It was buying the wrong version for your climate, sized by a guess, sold with a dead tax credit. So here's what actually wins. By situation. If you're in a mild or southern climate, cooling dominated, with a light heating load, a standard heat pump. It heats and cools from one machine, and your winters rarely dip below its balance point. In the south, a plain heat pump is honestly all you need. The honest caveat? If your design temperature drops into the teens more than a handful of nights a year, this isn't your pick. If you're up north with cheap natural gas and a gas line already in the ground, a high-efficiency gas furnace. Or the one I'd spend my own money on, a dual-fuel setup. That's a heat pump paired with a gas furnace that hands off right at the balance point. The heat pump does the cheap shoulder season work, the furnace takes the brutal nights. You can run a plain heat pump up there instead, your call, but you'll feel it in January. The caveat, dual fuel costs more upfront, because you're buying both. And if you're up north with no gas line, heating today with baseboard, oil, or propane, this one's easy. A cold climate, properly rated heat pump is the single biggest upgrade there is. Switching off electric resistance can save you real money, sometimes a few $1,000s a year. The caveat, verify the 5-degree rating on paper before you sign. And it'll run a little more than a bargain box. So, the core of it. There's no universal winner. Your climate and your 2 utility rates decide this, not the badge on the box, and not your father-in-law's opinion. So before any contractor sits at your table, do 3 things. Pull your electric rate off your bill. Pull your gas rate. Then look up your county's design temperature. 3 numbers. That's the whole game. And then you ask the one question that tells you if he did his homework. Show me the manual J. If he says he eyeballed it or went by square footage, you already have your answer. Walk. Next up, I read the fine print on those 10-year parts warranties. There's a 60-day window that quietly cuts your coverage in half. And almost nobody hears about it until the claim gets denied. Same trick as that furnace quote, just buried in the paperwork. YouTube thinks you'll like these 2 next, so click 1. And if you made it all the way to the end, subscribe.